weather is called serene when no clouds darken the sky, and neither wind nor fog disturbs the transparency of the air. The sky in man is the subtle sphere or aura which surrounds and penetrates him, and in which his own luminaries perform their revolutions. It is the atmosphere created by the emanations of his organs and other constituent elements, which radiate and receive their subtle fluidic influences. The heart is the sun which illumines the sphere of man. The serenity of his sky comes from the harmony of his inner forces, and the transparency of his light is the result of non-resistance. To acquire serenity, one must first eliminate certain weaknesses of the human animal, namely nervous impatience, instinctive haste, and instability. These three defects are the result of an erroneous notion of values, which in turn is derived from a hybrid and ill-directed consciousness, half animal and half human. A man not yet enlightened by his spiritual witness regarding real and relative values will let his intellect defend the instinctive desires of his lower self, and their disorderly demands will create cross-currents of impatience, haste, and incoherent caprice. In giving in to these impulses, the human automaton resembles certain types of animal. The dog, for example, quivers with impatience at the sight of a juicy bone. The monkey, with its perpetual distractions, typifies the instability and dispersion of thought. The fly, by its agitation, throws itself into the spider's web. Haste is exemplified in the bee's care for its social duty, and the anxiety of the ant, which always has something to do, but in doing it, hurries into unnecessary detours, knowing the right direction but not knowing how to surmount the obstacles. Other animals give us a lesson in self-control. The cat, for instance, whose wisdom is a model, because it combines the most intent passion with the calmest indifference. Motionless, it plans its leap, and performs it exactly. The strength of its muscles is matched by its relaxation and repose. In sleep, it has the abandon of an infant, yet its instinct is ever alert. It can fall without danger because it does not resist. Hunting and fishing are games of pure pleasure for it. It hunts with rancor, and plays without an object. It is ever ready to attack without animosity, and to defend itself without apprehension. Being indifferent to victory, it cannot feel defeat. Serenity comes from independence. This independence to be created in oneself is not indifference, but neutrality with regard to the impressions received from without. Whether pretty or ugly, good or bad, happy or sad, pleasant or unpleasant. It is one thing to observe these qualities, and quite another to let them affect our moods. If our evaluation of them is based on personal preference, then we cannot discern the real. We must practice the discrimination of real and relative values by means of neutrality, which is the first step toward transparency. Concentrating upon essential values will open the door to this discrimination, and the attainment of the sense of presence will close the door to illusory values. This gradual purification is the key to transparency. Transparency is the quality of letting the light pass through one, the limpid neutrality which lets objects be seen through it undeformed. The same definition describes the state of man who is transparent to the light and open to the presence. This transparency becomes illumination within and radiance without. It does not prevent the selfish assaults of the ego, but it weakens them. Peace on earth cannot mean the suppression of the opposing forces, but their reconciliation in working for a common aim, which is indestructible life. As you struggle with yourself for your independence, you cannot eradicate your own resistances, but you can avoid the conditions which favor them. Avoid therefore all conditions which disturb the serenity of your sky. Do not let it ever be disturbed, either by the turbulence of your brain, which opens the door to your bad angel, or by pessimism and doubt, which quench the kindling fire, or by fear under whatever name, anxiety, scruples, caution, for that dries up the heart and extinguishes the flame of love.